ready to go. Welcome everybody to this rerun of the session that we had on Tuesday. We're delighted to welcome Asker back again. We'll introduce Asker formally and properly in just a few moments. But first of all, to say thank you for joining us. We are now beginning to get into the really interesting part of the Speaker and Influencer program. So now we've done the session with Dominic in the first instance, and we've looked at presenting with impact, how to really talk down that lens. We've done a couple of drop-in sessions to begin to think about your content. But now what we're going to do is to really get looking at you and how you present and how we build your confidence. So this session is about building that confidence. And I'm delighted to introduce Asker Lindholt, who's joined us today from Denmark and is this year supporting really the big middle section of our Speaker and Influencer program. Asker has been an international speaking coach for over a decade now, works around the world, does amazing stuff. Check out his LinkedIn profile, connect with him. He's one of those awesome people to know. Everybody should have an Asker Lindholt in their lives. So without further ado, Asker, over to you.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you for the kind words and welcome to all of you. I'm excited. We have a little group here today, which is super cool because that means that you have a bigger chance that you can also speak here today and get some feedback. So that is great. Wonderful. In the last session, we were quite a few more people, so we didn't have time to have everyone on stage and speak, but that is great. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about the program and the intention and what I hope you can gain from today. So the first part of this webinar here, 3 hours, is all about creating a lot of confidence and really minimizing that fear so you can put yourself outside of that equation and really focus on what's important. Because ultimately, it's not me that's important, but today it's you. It's all about you growing, getting better. And when you are speaking, it's also not about you. It's about your audience. It's about helping them. And if you feel confident, it's much easier to really focus on your audience and on your message. So we will be looking at that. And then the second part is all about discovering what your audience needs. I think a lot of speakers make the mistake. Let me just share what I know, and hopefully the audience will leave smarter, wiser. But let's take a step back and really do a proper analysis of the audience. So we look at how we can help them the most. And we have 3 hours together today, so there's quite a lot of time to focus on that. And that means also I'll be giving you some exercises for two reasons. First of all, because I think hearing me speak for 3 hours, yeah, maybe you would enjoy it, but I think it's also great to have you activated and really network together. So it's just going to be active learning here. And I want you to also to, activate yourself through the chat. I'll be asking a few questions. It'll be great. And also to hear your opinions along the way. But let me just start off with saying, if you have some sort of fear of public speaking, if you're nervous before I talk, you are normal. You are completely normal. Most people have some sort of fear of public speaking, and I see some people laughing here. Rizan and Mulalo, you're laughing and smiling. So if that is the case for you, you have some sort of nerves, you're completely normal. When I started out, in fact, I think if you take the feelings, 90% would be fear, 10% enjoyment. Today, it's different. I enjoyed 90%, and there's still a little bit of fear. And this is our biology. I mean, we're working against biology, but we can hack it so you too can enjoy it and have fun. And all of you, you can learn this. All of you can be amazing speakers. And the most important thing is really to get confident. A lot of people focus on the outer game. How should I move my hands? What should I do with my voice? All those sort of things. They're important. But ultimately, if you feel confident, your voice will change, your body language will change. So all will change once you start feeling better, feeling confident. And that is what we're going to tap in today. Does that sound like a good program? Let me get a thumb up, like a reaction if this is great. Awesome. I'm getting a lot of thumbs up here and smiles. Great. So awesome. Wonderful. Now, let me just share a little story with you. Back about 10 years ago, I went to a club called Toastmasters. I don't know if any of you have heard about Toastmasters, this nonprofit organization where you can come and speak for like 5 to 7 minutes. You get some feedback from the members. And I went there for the first 7 weeks and I thought, these people are amazing. They're really good speakers. So I observed them. And then I thought, now it's my turn. I'll give a speech. I'm really gonna crush it. I'm gonna have this amazing opener. I'm gonna show them, blast through. And then I got up on stage and I'm like, hi, how you doing? You can hear me in the back? Okay, great. Yeah, nice. Just completely flooded with fear, anxiety, and nerves. And I didn't give the talk I had imagined that I wanted to give because I ultimately didn't believe in myself. But over time, I had this dream that I wanted to be a speaker. I wanted to go out and share my message because I was sick and tired of looking into a screen and just working with these boring projects that I didn't really like. I didn't have that fulfillment. But I just had one big problem. And the big problem was I couldn't really admit it that I wanted to be a speaker. Heck, not even to myself. So I thought, let me just go to Toastmasters and that's going to be it. Well, then one day after work, I got home and I remember I slipped into my black leather couch and I put my feet up on the living room table. And finally, I could relax after a long day of work, open my laptop and I go into Facebook. And then I see this post after a few minutes by Kadri, one of the members of Toastmasters. And I knew somehow she was working with professional speakers. And then she had this post that said, do you want to be a professional speaker? If so, please write why. And I thought, I knew she had something to do with professional speakers. So I thought that would be a great idea to write on that post. But the problem was just, if I wrote, other people would be able to see it. Other people in the Toastmasters Club could see, wow, this is actually Aska's dream. I would be opening up myself. And I didn't want to do that. So after a while, I mustered up the courage and I thought, I'm going to do something. And then I pressed the like button. I managed to press the like button. I thought, there goes my chance. I saw a lot of people writing on that comment. So probably 60, 70 people. She had probably 200 likes. And I wasn't like a friend with her. Well, a little bit friends, more like an acquaintance. So I thought, there's no way. There goes my chance. And then, I continued on Facebook, looking down through that. And then 10 minutes later, it says this pling, when you have that message from Facebook, pling. And I thought, wow, maybe it's her. Of course, it can't be her. I've just pressed the like button. Don't be insane, Asker. There's so many people writing on that post. And then I saw, well, it was actually Kadri that wrote me back and said, do you want to be a professional speaker, Asker? And I thought, well, I could probably tell her that would be okay. I felt comfortable with her. So I wrote back in the chat, yeah, I would love to. And she wrote back, yeah, well, that's great because I actually happen to have 2 tickets for this professional speaker seminar. It's 3 days. The speaker is amazing. I know him personally. I work with him. The normal price is 700 pounds, but you can have it for free. And I thought, whoa, that would be amazing. And then I came for that seminar and this speaker was just amazing. I sat there for 3 days from 9 to 5. I was mesmerized by every single word. I could have sat there for months, I think. But the important thing is he taught me a lot of tools, but the most important thing he taught me is he left me with a feeling, this is possible. I can do this. It's possible for me also. And I want to share with you, it's also possible for you. If you're sitting there with a feeling, you know what, it's just me, I can't do this. It's a learnable skill. It's a skill anybody can learn. In fact, the other day I went back and saw Bill Clinton speak back at the convention in 1998. And if you look at him, he wasn't that good. But if I saw him in 2012, whoa, my God, I think he's amazing as a speaker. So just if we look at some of the best speakers, they have also learned this craft of public speaking. And you can do that too. So if you're sitting there with a doubt, leave it by the side, work on the process, and you will get good as well. There's no reason that you should not be able to learn this. If you're a normal function person and you managed to come here today, you can learn this. So of course you can learn this. So hopefully this was a little bit inspiring, that it's all about putting in the work, finding the right tools, and then learning it ultimately. Now, what I have for you here is a framework I have developed. It's called FEAR, consisting of 4 things, F-E-A-R. If you do these, I've used this with over hundreds of people. So if you do that, I really believe you will minimize your fear and tap into that authentic self, that power you have somewhere. Maybe it's hidden somewhere. Maybe you don't have access to it now, but we'll find access to it. And we'll work in 2 ways. Give you tools to really master public speaking, but also work on yourself. Because there are 2 ways you can get really good. One way is study the best people and try to learn their techniques. And that is going to make you a really, really great speaker. The other way, which is even more powerful, that will make you amazing, that is to work on yourself. working on yourself so you become your authentic self. And this is one of the reasons why I love public speaking. It's the biggest personal growth journey you can set yourself on. Putting yourself up there on stage, sharing your advice, and daring to open up, share some vulnerable stories, some personal things. People will love you for it, but it also takes some courage. And when you dare to tap into that courage, I believe it will also impact your other areas of your life. Because ultimately, I believe fear is what's stopping us from having success. I know this from other areas of my life. Sometimes maybe there are people I don't call because, oh, who am I to call them? Who am I to contact them? What am I to think that I can do this? Of course, fear will stop us. So if you learn this skill, it will not just impact your skill as a public speaker, but also other areas of life. So it's really, really important to focus on this. Now, why should we focus on our own feelings and becoming, confident on stage? Well, there are two reasons. Most people do it because, hey, I just want to feel good myself, right? This is a good, legitimate reason. The other one, which is actually more important, is that the audience will start feeling much better if you feel better. We have something called mirror neurons. We mirror each other. So if I feel good, there's a better chance that you too are going to feel good. You know this from your own personal life. Let's say you're having an amazing day. You're just super happy. You're enjoying, everything's going well. And you come into this room and then, oh, really downer atmosphere. Well, you can't happen not to be affected by it. Of course, because you're a human being, you are impacted by other people. So it's the same on stage. You will impact your audience. So you need to connect with them. And you have also tried the opposite. Maybe you had a bad day, things weren't going that well for you, like, oh, and then you go out with your friends and you enjoy it and like, whoa, all of a sudden you're in a much better mood. So it's all about being the leader, taking charge and going first. So it's not just for yourself you should do it, but more importantly, for your audience. Now, how can you get in a good state? I want to give you some concrete tools that you can get. But I think we should look at what are the most successful people doing in the world? What are they doing to get in that state? The best people, what do they do before, let's say, a football game? They don't just start warming up like 5 minutes before, a little chit chat. They have a proper routine for how they eat, how they sleep, and, they start the day before. So I would love to hear from you in the chat, and maybe also a comment from one of you. Write in the chat, what do you do? I'll give you a bunch of my tools afterwards and we can talk about it. What do you do to get into the best state? What makes you happy? What makes you excited? If that is the state you want to get in, I would love to hear from some of you, because I know you probably have some routines that you're already doing. Deep breathing, GHC. I don't see the full name. That's a pity. Music. I listen to Shania Twain. Yeah, she's great. Awesome. Deep breathing to ground myself. Wonderful. These are all good tips. Meditation to calm myself. Exercise to feel good. Ian is writing that. That's a good one. Yeah. Meditation is good. Yvonne is writing meditate, breathe. Music to motivate and be calm. Yeah, you can find the music that you want ultimately to get into that feeling. So these are all wonderful techniques. So what I'm encouraging you to do is really have a routine. Write it down. What are you going to do? So it's not just, oh, let me just do that one thing, but you have like a routine. So when you hit the stage, you feel like a winner. Boom, you're that good. So you flush yourself with great chemicals. And Mel is writing here, I like to make eye contact with the audience and a moment of silence. Great. All good tips. It's so important we connect with ourselves. I know you have seen the speaker who is too much out of their own bodies. Like, yeah, it's going to be great. It's amazing. Yeah, guys, I got something really great for you. No, chill out, man. Connect with yourself as well. Sure, we have to have some energy to bounce back and forth, but it's important to connect with ourselves. And Graham is writing here, stretching, loosening up. Also, wonderful tips. I imagine a bland white canvas in front of me. Interesting, Yvonne. I never heard that one. But if that works for you, that is wonderful. You should do what works for you. Bland, maybe I don't know the word. English is only my second language. So wonderful. Let me share some tools that I use. One thing I like to do, especially also the day before, is to walk. Walking, we know, will reduce the amount of cortisol. The stress hormone cortisol, you burn that away. If you go out and run, If that works for you, do that. But if you walk, you don't feel danger. If you're in a dangerous situation, you will run. The lion is after me, and then you start running. Blank, okay, blank. Ivan is writing blank, not bland. So then go out and walk, have a great walk, let's say half an hour, if you can get some sunlight, and then look far away, look to the horizon. That is so calming. That's one of the reasons why we like to look at the ocean. We can look so far away. So go out there for a walk. And one of the reasons I like to walk is also, I can then practice my talk. Instead of standing in front of the mirror in the living room, it's like I forget my body because the body is doing itself. So I can just kind of, connect with myself, and I don't have to worry about how I look and so forth. It's just coming to me. Do you know those sort of experiences where you just feel good? It just comes to you. You don't have to, was my hair right? Oh, that was a wrong phrase. Got to start over again, So walking does wonders for me. And the research shows you really burn off that cortisol. So you can also have a better night's sleep. If you have a talk later in the day, a walk could also work wonderful, to get a little bit energized. Breathing is also one I used, and a couple of you guys mentioned it, that breathing works well for you. I want to share with you a little technique that I learned from a guy called Stig Severin, a Danish guy. He has his own institute called Breathology, and he has had several world records in holding his breath, and also has had the world record in terms of deep diving, going as far as you can under the sea without oxygen. And he showed me this technique that he uses. This is his favorite technique. And he really knows a lot about breathing. So let me just explain it to you. What I do, and I did this before the talk here today, is take your arms out, and we can do it together afterwards. Let me just explain it to you. So take out my arms here, and then I'll breathe in through my nose, because the nose is actually for breathing. And then I breathe in, and then I open my arms. I hold my breath a little bit, and then I will actually breathe out through my mouth, but like a pursed mouth, because it's on the exhale we relax. So what I do is this. And the reason I breathe out through the mouth, which you usually don't want to be doing, you want to breathe out through the nose during the day, is because I can make the exhale so much longer. And then when I purse my mouth a little bit and make it more closed, it's possible for me to really prolong that exhalation. And it's through the exhale we relax. It's not through the inhale. You know this when you're stressed, you're like, oh, if you see a snake or something dangerous, you're like, and when you feel good, oh, finally it's over. You have that exhale, right? So why not do that deliberately to calm yourself down? We know this is the fastest way to relax yourself. It's through breathing. It's connected to so much of our body. So use that exercise. And I do it 15, 20 times, and I can measure it. When I have a pulse watch on, I can measure the pulse will go down. Again, if you're stressed for other reasons in public speaking, do this. Do you wake up in the middle of the night? Use this, and you're stressed. You will calm yourself down. You relax yourself. Within a couple minutes, you really relax yourself. So this is just a great technique, and I can't say that I invented it. I'm taking it from the expert, Stig Severin, really great guy, by the way, awesome speaker. So breathing is one technique I do. Another one is laughing. Now, it's not always possible to find something that's funny. If you have something funny stashed away, keep that. You can use that before you go on stage, because we know laughing produces so many great chemicals in our body. It, again, removes cortisol, the stress hormone cortisol. Plus, you start producing this wonderful hormone called oxytocin. Oxytocin is the love hormone. That's the hormone that makes us connect. So when you're on stage and you have a lot of that, you feel connected to the people. So people in love produce more oxytocin. You produce that. You also produce endorphins. Endorphins is what masks the pain. That is why if you break a leg, it's not going to hurt that much. I have never broken anything. So I'm just saying, sharing out of what I've read and from other people. But that's why you don't feel pain very much, at least in the beginning, because you produce all these endorphins. And that means you can actually run. Let's say you broke your foot. It gives you another 5-7 minutes to run away from that dangerous situation. Why not produce that on purpose? Now, you might be wondering, well, I don't know, I can't find anything funny necessarily, but I'll give you a tip. But you can also, and you'll also produce testosterone, this winner hormone that makes you feel amazing, like a winner. And like Usain Bolt, when he crosses the finish line, he's full of testosterone because he feels like a winner. So if you have anything funny, you can use that. But if you don't, you can also just provoke the laugh, because study shows that if you're just laughing, either a genuine laugh or you make up that laugh, it's the same. There are places around the world where there are laughing clubs where people meet together and they sit like half an hour, and they just laugh. They just force that laugh. And I've been a few times to one of them here in Copenhagen. And actually, after a while, you just start laughing for no reason. So what I do is I just do this. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Oh, ho, 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 ho. And I use my body as well, really, to force the laugh. I know it's probably a bit outside your comfort zone to do that, but you can do that at home in your own living room when no one's watching. But if you do that, set a clock, set 3 to 5 minutes, you will feel a difference. Again, many of these tools you can use. Let's say you had a long day at work and you feel a little bit stressed. You want to come home to your family, just feeling awesome, just feeling amazing. Do that one, do it in the car, wherever. I mean, so you don't look like a freak to the other people maybe on the street. So yeah, but it truly works. And so write this down so you have this, so you can make your own routine. Yeah, Malala's writing, smiling with laughing. Great, man. Awesome. I love it that you're writing comments and really, taking part in this discussion. Great. Another one that you all mentioned is music. There's a reason why music is a big part of movies, because it really directs how we should feel. So find that music that you want to be in. Now, if you happen to be, let's say, a Tony Robbins kind of speaker, maybe some of you have heard of Tony Robbins, probably maybe the most famous speaker, this American guru, motivational guy that's all about running around and, you got to be amazing. It's great. If that's your style, great. Probably you want to find some really energetic music that gets you into that state where you're high energy. Let's say you're another type of speaker, because you want to find your style that is true to you. You don't want to find somebody else's style and copy Tony just because he's successful. Doesn't mean you're going to be successful with his style. One of you wrote meditation to calm myself down. Maybe you're that sort of speaker, which is more quiet, more introvert, that makes people feel, wow, I really got to connect with myself. I got in touch with some feelings that I hadn't gotten in touch with for years. And you leave with a different feeling, with this high energy. If that's you, use that. Maybe that is the music you want to be listening to, this music that makes you calm, relaxed, connect with yourself, where you can take in the audience. Whoa, So all the styles are good. And ultimately, you find the music you want to have to tap into your personality, right? So have a little playlist. That would be my encouragement for different scenarios. Probably most of the time you want to be feeling good, a little bit more energetic than the audience. So yeah, that would be one thing. Again, gratitude. Gratitude is one I love as well. I'm grateful. I'm actually very grateful that I get the opportunity to work with you, help you. But I also think about other things that I'm grateful for. Let's say for reasons, let's say it didn't go well. I always like to have a worst case scenario. I still have my 3 kids. I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful for Storm, for Mila, for Luca. I still have them. They're still the most important part of my life. Of course, I want this to go well. But if it shouldn't, I have the most important things in my life. I still have my wife who loves me and so forth. So think about the things that you're grateful for, because when you're grateful, the fear won't be there. You cannot help not to get rid of that fear when you're thankful and grateful. Having a routine where you think about that. One thing I like to do in terms of being grateful is actually putting the loved ones, the people I love, I take them with me on stage. I know this is a little bit woo-woo kind of thingy, airy-fairy kind of thing, but it will work because the mind is incredible. We can visualize things. So right here, I have the camera up here in front of me. I could place, and I do that. I place my kids here. I place my mother, place my friends, and they will look at me. They'll smile back at me. I'll take them in. I get that support from them. And maybe you can even feel that my energy changes a little bit because now I connect with them. I start feeling, wow. You can do the same. Why not create an environment where you bring the people you love with you on stage? If you do that and you have that white light shining down on you, just try to find them right now. The people that you love, try to connect with maybe 2 or 3 people and place them right there in front of the camera and have them look at you. And it's okay if you need to close your eyes to connect with them and just see them smile at you. They love you. They want to see you do well. In fact, they're proud that you even step on stage. No matter how it goes, they're proud of you that you're doing this thing. Yeah, I can see you, Malala, you're smiling. That's great. Rasan, you got a little smile on as well. And Graham, you got a little smile. And Tom, yeah, the mind is incredible. Our mind is, it's amazing how we can visualize things. So if you do that, you're going to feel amazing. So this is really the first thing, is creating a great feeling. This is the framework in this system. Create a great feeling. Do the things that you want to do to create an amazing feeling. And I can see we've got a couple of people who have tuned in. Welcome to you. Mel, you just tuned in, is that right? Maybe Claire, Yvonne, and Mark. So welcome to all of you that have just joined a little bit later. That's wonderful. You have come right now. We are talking about how to handle the fear of public speaking. So we've covered how to create a great feeling within yourself. Have a routine that you can use to really create that feeling. Now, the next thing is, I call it ego in this fear system. Ego means being your best version. Now, we all have amazing days, and then it's easy to go on stage and really crush it because everything's just going well. But we also have some days where it's maybe not going that well. And those are the days where we also need to really up our game. So one thing I think that works really well in terms of being your best version is showing the inside of yourself. If you dare to open up, share some things that are not working or that you have struggled with earlier, maybe in life, then you connect so much more with the audience. I don't know if any one of you have seen the amazing TED Talk by Brené Brown. Anyone has seen that? Give me a thumb up if you have. Tom, Rasan have. Mel, you have? Great. This is a great talk. She talks really about, and Keith as well, thank you, Keith, for connection. And what she talks about is, how do you connect? You don't connect through your victories. You don't connect through how amazing you are. How we actually connect is through similarity and vulnerability. So you don't need to be up here, this high pedestal. Sure, I come here today and probably there's a good chance I know more than you, but I try to meet you as equals. I know you are amazing at other things that I haven't studied. And frankly, it would be a little bit strange if, let's say I spent 10 years, really studied this a lot. And maybe most likely you have spent a little bit less time, but I meet you and I respect you for the areas you're good at, but also just as human beings. So connect through, find things where, you're similar to your audience. We all have some struggles. And that's why I was trying to share some stories also from the earlier part of my life where you're like, hey, maybe that's me a little bit right now. Maybe you're not, maybe you are also on that journey trying to become a better speaker. And you're like, oh, really? Asker was there that time and now he's here speaking. Well, maybe if he was there back then, maybe I can also get there or at least improve and get better. So do that. A couple of things that would be great for you to share and really to open yourself up and show who you are is share some frustrations you have. Maybe frustrations in your field. It could be personal things, but it could also be with other trainers. I'm sure you have things where you're like, oh, here we go again, this thing. For instance, in my field, a lot of people are teaching how you should stand with your body. How should you use your hands? And now there's nothing wrong in that. But I just know that if you start feeling amazing inside, your body will do much more of what it needs to do. You don't need to be an actor. You can just be yourself because you ultimately feel amazing. So this is one of my frustrations with this industry. So you could find something with yourself. It could also be a personal frustration. It could be like, I knew this would help my clients. I could just not get them to see this. It was so hard. I knew if you just took this one action. When I used to be a high school teacher, I looked at the kids and I knew, like, you don't have to do much. I mean, if you put in like a 10-minute good effort in every lesson, you're going to be fine. But if you have a 90-minute, would you just flush it away with Facebook and chit-chatting, all that? Of course, you're going to go nowhere in these 2 years where you have chemistry. But if you just put in 10 minutes, man, it's not that much. That could be a frustration for me, right? And so you could share that. Also share some fears you have that you used to be afraid of or you're still afraid of. That'll be great. Your clients will connect so much with you, right? So fears is a wonderful thing. First times is also good because it shows part of where you started off. It makes you connect with them. Let's say you're talking to people in your industry that are new in the field, they're struggling. They're finding, oh, really? Oh, Tom, he was also struggling with client meetings in the beginning, or whatever you were struggling with, right? So like, oh, really? Okay, I got to learn this, right? So share some of those earlier experiences that you had. This is really going to make you connect. Wonderful. And if you can share a little bit of your failures, how you fail, that's going to be great. And why you want to do it is obviously to connect, but also once you then later share your victories, they're like, hey, he's believable. You know, Ian, he told me all this stuff you messed up around. Like, why isn't it true when he talks about this system that is going to be amazing to help me succeed? No, probably it is. Because why would he otherwise have shown me areas where he failed at earlier or whatever it is? So this is great. So share those things. Another thing that's really great is to connect with yourself first. How do you connect with yourself first? I see a lot of people, especially when we talk about eye contact, they're always like, you got to look always at the audience in their eyes. Now, it's slightly different to the camera, but let's say you're on a stage and you're always looking people in the eyes. Then it's like too much. You know that when people have too much eye contact, it's like, whew, relax. You got to, you know, get a little bit away from them. So let's say you're in a therapy session. Most people, when they do therapy, they will have like chairs in a 45-degree angle for reasons, which is, oh, it's easy to have eye contact, but it's also easy to look away. It's the same. Sometimes we need not to have eye contact with the other person, because if I'm always having eye contact with the other person, I'm in their space. I'm not in my own space. And sometimes we need to have periods of time where we go into our own space as well. But of course, we also need to have eye contact so we do connect with them, we do feel them. So the eyes can basically be in 3 positions when you speak. And you'll notice this also after today. If you go out and watch other people's eyes, how they move them. So one place is, of course, you can have eye contact directly with them. This is great because you get to feel them and connect with them. And I usually say have about 3 to 5 seconds, because that's enough time to really feel them, but also not intimidate them too much. So you have a connection there. The other place you want to have eye contact is when you get pictures, when you're sharing your stories. You want to be sharing stories and you need to get a picture. And you can notice this from people. If you look at their eyes, let's say you ask someone later today, please describe your childhood home, and their eyes will go up to the side because they need to, oh, how did that look? Oh yeah, it looked like that. So when you're sharing your stories, you have created pictures that you want to, you know, take down, and then you want to share them. So don't be afraid every now and then to look up, just for a little bit, get the picture. And then the other place you will have is to look down when we feel, you know, you got to connect with yourself. When you connect with yourself, the audience will feel relaxed. Oh, he's in charge of himself. He's connected. And you're feeling what you need to feel, and they can then feel it. So ultimately, you'll be using your eyes in 3 ways: feeling, pictures, and look at them. So you're not always just looking at them all the time, because then you don't have time to go into yourself. If you look at great speakers, especially if you take a speaker like Barack Obama, especially in his younger days, you will notice that he looked a lot down to connect. You know, when he starts to talk, he's not just like, hey guys, come on. Like, he actually takes like this moment just to like feel, and then starts. So move in between these 3 and know that it's more important to connect with yourself, because if you do that, they will feel at ease, they will feel relaxed and in good, they will feel, relaxed. They're like, this is comfortable, I'm safe. I hope that makes sense. Does it make sense what I'm saying? Or is it too woo-woo kind of thingy? Yeah, great, awesome, wonderful, great guys, you're participating. Yeah, this is great. Another thing to make you feel your best is to create a great environment for you. Like if you, let's say you were to speak at home, you would probably feel more safe than if you had to speak at a big stage you'd never seen. So one thing you can do if you go out and talk is to actually have the one that books you or someone else send you a few pictures or make a small movie of that. And then you, of course, want to come early to the venue as well. Because if you know how it is, your brain is very much thinking where it's dangerous. Okay, where are the doors? How can I escape from this if somebody is going to attack me? This old brain is always thinking this. Maybe you're not thinking this consciously, But if you know the room, like, oh, okay, there's the exit out there. Oh, that's pretty great. Here's another door. And if they should come up to me, all these 50 people that look at me. So the better you know a place, the more relaxed you'll be. So get to know the room. If you have time, go there, see it by yourself. If you don't, if it's too far away and you're just traveling and you're going there for the first time, have them just send a little movie, 10 seconds, because you can also then visualize your talk with the room. It's much harder to visualize a talk where you don't know the room. So just a couple of few pictures would be a great idea for you. You'll feel way more relaxed. And then of course you come early, and then you want to walk the entire stage. You take it in. You want to hear, how does this floor sound? Oh, does it make some noise when I'm walking around? And you want to move to all the edges. So you feel comfortable moving around in this stage. So you own this stage. And you also want to, sit at the chairs and really take in that room. How does your voice sound in the room? All those sort of things would help you. And the last final thing I also do is I always give like a call to the guy that booked me, because of course I want to hear a little about the audience challenges, but most likely we have talked about that way earlier when I was planning the talk and doing it, but just a couple of days before. Just like, oh, how are people doing? Are they okay? Anything new happened in your company? Anything I should be aware of? Maybe a couple of questions. And they think I do it for them. I don't. Well, I do it a little bit, but I mainly do it for myself because, oh yeah, everything's great. We're looking forward to you coming, Asker. Oh, really? They're still looking forward to me coming? Oh, great. Yeah, okay. So all those sort of things makes me feel calm that I just had a little chat with them about these things. So that could be a really great way to create a good environment for you. And you can do the same, of course, if you have a virtual talk, just give the guy a call before and check in. You'll feel more relaxed and you'll feel more confident. Oh yeah, they're still struggling with that thing called body language. Yeah, okay, cool. So these are a bunch of tips how you can feel your best and be yourself, your best version of yourself. Now let's move into the A, which I call accept. Accept is a little bit tough one. And I remember back, it's probably around 15 years now ago. And, many of us, we have that breakup. That breakup that just tears us apart. Some of you are lucky and maybe didn't have that, but most people go through life having this breakup where the other one that was just the love of your life, you were together, and she was like that for me. I'd been together with her for 5 years, beautiful, amazing, funny, and I had no doubt in my mind she was going to be the mother of my kids. And I had the skill with her that I could always comfort her. I could always make her feel good. So I knew, of course, she's gonna, we're gonna be together for always together. And then one morning we're almost finishing our studies. And then she sat on the bed and she said, Asker, there's something I gotta say to you. I said, okay, yeah, let me know so I can help. She said, it's a little bit hard to say. Oh, come on, let me know, I'll help you. So, and then she said, I've been together with someone else. Whoa, everything just changed. Whoa, so it wasn't me helping her. I was like, oh, this is just a lot of trouble. And fast forward 6 months, we're not together. And so I got to get back in the game, after 5 years. And so my good friend David says, let's go out, Asker, for a couple of beers and get you back talking to a couple of women and then, see if you can, maybe get a date or whatever, at least get back in the game. So I remember sitting down in the bar and, having a great conversation with this woman. I thought, I'm enjoying myself. She seems like she's enjoying herself. And so I said to her, well, let's exchange phone numbers so we can meet up again. She said, no, we're not going to meet again. No, we're not. No, I enjoyed the talk, but we're not going to meet again. It's like, what? I was thinking, why not? I was thinking, I got 2 arms, 2 ears, no nose sticking out my head, looking normal. And I thought we had a great conversation. And then I asked her, okay, why? Why not? And she said, do you really want to hear the truth? I didn't really know if I wanted to hear the truth. I said, yeah, okay, give it to me. You're a pushover, and I'm not interested in that. Whew. I was down in confidence, but that brought me even further down. I was like below, the lowest ever. But it actually made me think. I was at that time in a stage of my life where I probably wasn't feeling very confident, secure. I thought, okay, you got to work a little bit on your confidence and those sort of areas. So it made me work on myself. And ultimately what I'm saying to you here, when you go out and speak, most people will be really nice to you. If you go out and talk to them and they say, oh, could you please, well, did you like it? Yeah, they're like, yeah, I really liked it. It was a good talk. And, you know, maybe they liked it, but there's also a good chance that they're not going to go home and do anything. So my encouragement to you is really try to get the hard truth out of people. Now that of course is hard because people are typically nice. So a few tricks that you can use in order to really get to truth, because that is ultimately how you change. If you just keep doing the same thing, you're going to be making the same mistake over and over again. So a few things you can do is once your talk is over, let's say you're out and you're having a cup of coffee with the other guests that heard you talk, just ask them, oh, what was your favorite part of the talk? Rather than the question, did you like my talk? Because they're going to be nice. So, oh, what was your favorite part? And they're like, don't really know. Well, probably there wasn't anyone. Or which parts of my talk do you remember? Which key points do you remember? Like they can't fake it. Like if they don't remember them, it's probably because it wasn't that great of a talk. If they remember, oh, everybody remembered that thing. Well, maybe it's because you crushed it. You really did well. You had a nice story. And if they don't remember the other parts, maybe you should work on that. Now, I want to be nice to you and to everybody, because when I get a client, I will often ask them this question. Okay, who's your favorite speaker that you heard the last 6 months? And then please share with me what are the things you remember from his talk. And I almost never have anybody say more than 3 things. And imagine this is their favorite speaker in the last 6 months. So a fairly recent speaker they heard that they really loved, could be on a YouTube or out in a physical place, and they can't remember more than 3 things. So if you are out talking, you know, if they can remember 3 things, that's actually really, really good. If they remember 2, sure, that's fine. 1, maybe you want to up your game a little bit. And of course, 0, yeah, you got to make some massive changes. So if you have 10 points, probably that's also too many. Just have a few and go deep with some stories. So but ask them that question. What do you remember? And what was your favorite part, rather than just the question, did you like it? Because in a way, if we ask the question, did you like it? It's like a little child. Can you please like me? Please like me, you know, kind of thing. But this is the hard truth. So focus on that and you're going to have massive success instead. Yeah. Okay. Another thing I just want to share with you real quickly is the focus on the process. I remember back 7 years ago when I started posting videos on Facebook, because I thought, now I'm going to, you know, take over the online world. And I was out there with my friend Asbjørn, and it was January out here in Copenhagen. You know it? What is she? Nicola. Yeah, you're there, Nicola. So, you know, maybe you know the Copenhagen Harbor. So we were down there and walking. I'd seen this guy who's great, you know, with the selfie stick, making videos, getting loads of likes and getting booked all the time. So I thought, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to crush this guy. I'm going to show him, right? And I just remember in those 6 hours I was there, I was always focused on the wrong things. Oh, I had an error right there. Oh, somebody walked in behind me in the camera. I can't make that video. That's impossible. Or, oh, I forgot one word there. So I ended up spending 6 hours and I posted 0 videos. Instead of just focus, I was trying to make the video perfect, like perfect. There is no perfect video. There is no perfect talk. There is not. There is a great talk that where people feel connected, they enjoy it. For some, it will be wonderful. For other people, yeah, it's pretty good. But I don't like it at all. You know, if you go hear a talk, people will be blown away. This is the best thing ever. And they'll go, what? You're going to watch that speaker again? So there is no perfect talk. But I focused on the wrong thing instead of just saying, okay, let me just try to focus on one thing, the process, trying to get a little bit better, get a little bit more comfortable, and then working on that. The same for you. If you accept, you know, don't look at the results, just focus at getting better. Like I just mentioned Bill Clinton earlier, in 1998, he wasn't very good. I mean, he was pretty good, but, you know, compared to his standard today, not very good. Today, whoa, I think he's amazing. Other people will probably think, nah, not that great, right? But a lot of people do think he's great. So focus on the process rather than just the results, and you will see amazing results in the end, which is the irony of it, right? So this is the A, accept the hard truth and accept where you are and move on from there, not the results. We get caught up in results and thinking, this speaker is amazing. Wow, I could never be like that. Well, you don't know what he did. You don't know the last 30 years, how much he worked at it. And there's a guy I like to follow. Unfortunately, he passed away, but he had written a great book called Peak, which is all about high performance, how people get amazing at things. And he said 40 years as a researcher trying to figure out how people get success. And a lot of times he would say there were people that come to me and said, he's just a natural talent. And his hobby was always to find out why were they actually successful. There was a reason why. He says, I've never ever found anyone that is truly amazing that hasn't had put in the work. For instance, he mentioned an example in the book with a table tennis player. And one guy, he just amazing reactions really, really quickly. He thought, this has got to be a natural born talent that's just so quickly. And then he later discovered that this guy, he used to play in this youth club where the walls were so close to the table tennis that he had to walk all the way up, right up to the table. So that meant that he, of course, had a lot less time to react because he was way close to the table. So he actually forced himself to read where the ball was coming much quicker than the others that had the space, could go back a little bit, and so forth. He always found a reason why people got successful. And it will be the same for you. If you put in the work, find the techniques, you're going to be so amazing. So this is the A. Is this good so far? Let me just hear the chat. Is this useful? Can you use this? Yeah, Graham's right. What's been your best part so far? Would love to hear from you. You know, I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you. Nicola writes, High Performance, great book. Yeah. Visna. Is that a book I recommended, or was that a new book you're writing, Graham? Definitely very good. Share with me what's your favorite part so far. Yeah, really useful. I like to focus on yourself before the talk. Great, great. You can use this. Tom's writing great tips. Thanks. Wonderful. Great, great. Yeah, because, you know, we're all different. You know, some will take something away. Other people will take other things away. Yeah, wonderful. You can use this. Wonderful. Yeah, the pre-match warm-up stuff is excellent. Keith writes that. Great. My favorite part is asking what their favorite part was. Wow, favorite part. Yeah, good. Awesome. Interested in the looking down element to get in touch with oneself, Tom writes. Great. Yeah, good, Tom. Yeah. Connect with yourself. A bit about the eye contact and not being too much in people's space. It's okay to look away. Yeah, it is, Nicola. Really, it is. Because you know that sometimes if you meet people for the first time and just sit in front of a desk, right, with a cup of coffee, it's like, it's almost too much, right? You want to like, yeah, can we just sit next to each other? That's why if you go out on a walk, you feel more relaxed because you don't always have to force that look. Of course, we got to look sometimes in the eyes to really connect. Great, man. Wonderful. Great, great, guys. You all participating. This is truly good. So I want to share with you one more thing before we have an exercise so you can get working and connect with each other and really, yeah, use this, put this to application. So the last part in this fear system is rehearse. How do you rehearse your talk? Now, your objective before when you go on stage is to go into what's called flow. This is actually a state we can measure. Anybody heard about flow? The flow state? Yeah, raise your hand if you've heard about that before. Tom, a little bit. No, give me a thumb down if you've never heard of it. Okay, Ryan, Ian, you haven't. Great. Malalo, you haven't. So I want to share with you. Yeah, Rizan, you also haven't. This is great. So you're going to be, man, you check this out. If you never heard of the flow state, this is amazing. This is true science. It's not just some woo-woo kind of thingy that was made up. There's real research behind it. You can measure the hormones in people's body, and people get these almost out-of-body experiences, and you can get there as well. So flow means you get into a state where you feel the best, where you just kind of act, you just move. You're actually shutting down part of the brain. This is what they can measure with the brain scans we can do today. We can, dive into the brain, which is really amazing. We couldn't do that, 20 years ago. So you shut down a little bit of this prefrontal cortex, this inner critic. And it's also where the place is placed where you know how much time has gone by. So when you get into flow, it's almost like you just, you feel your best. You're in an optimal state where you just act. You don't think about it because you shut that part down. And you can only go there when you have trained, when you're good at your field. So there are certain things you need to do in order to get into flow. That is, your skill level should match the challenge. So let's say public speaking, for instance. If you feel it's a huge challenge to speak to 30 people, it's going to be incredibly hard for you to go into flow because it's way too challenging. Now, if you feel comfortable speaking to 10, there's a good chance you can then go into flow in terms of that. So your skill level's got to match your challenge. If it's too much challenge, you won't go into flow. If it's too easy, you don't need to force your body to go in there. So if you're going to cook an egg and you've done that 1,000 times, you're probably not going to go into flow. Then the other thing, in order to really get into flow, is getting immediate feedback. So for instance, when you're doing public speaking, that could be, you look at the audience and see, oh, are they enjoying it? Are they having a good time? But also, are you remembering your talk? Are you sharing the stories you want to share? So get that immediate feedback in ways that is also going to help you to get into flow, because you're like, I'm on the right track. I got to do this. And the other thing is focus, concentration. You got to get obsessed with this. And if you're afraid of speaking, how can you focus on delivering a great talk? You can, because you'll be thinking about yourself. And that's why I say being fearful, afraid, that's actually a selfish act. You got to get that out so you can help your audience more. And then finally, you got to have some goals. What are your goals? Maybe that is to share your message, share your points, get that across. But flow state is ultimately where you just feel amazing. You kind of forget time. You're just right there. You're immersed. You're focused on the talk, and you spend a lot of energy on it. And I remember when I was starting speaking, I could never get there. I went out and did a lot of talks with a guy. He had already spoken for 25 years. So we got together and like, Asbjørn, we agreed you were going to speak half an hour. Like, boom, you just talked an hour. Oh, really? I didn't know that. I'm sorry. So he was losing track of time. And the same thing can happen to me today, because I get so immersed in the talk. I get so focused on it. I enjoy it so much. But of course, I'm trained now. So I look down on the watch to look, okay, what time are we at? But if I didn't have that, I wouldn't know, okay, did I just spend 2 hours or was it just 45 minutes? Because that part of the brain shuts down a little bit. But you want to be in that state where you just feel amazing, where just like you are totally immersed in it. Those of you that know it, have you tried it before, maybe on public speaking? Or it could also be if you love to play an instrument, or, you know, some of the young kids love to play computer games, and boom, oh, another 8 hours gone by. Yeah. Yes, in sports, Keith says. And Ian writes, very occasionally in sport. Yeah, because you got to maybe shut down part of your brain, just focus on your instincts, right? Rather than just like, if let's say you're playing football, you can't be like, oh yeah, there you go. Oh, I better kick it. You know, you're just focused, being in the zone. Yeah, other people call it being in the zone, or runner's high if you're a runner. That could also be it. Yes, very often playing tennis. Yeah, because you're good at it, you enjoy it. And when you're playing tennis, you know if it's working well. Did you get the ball over on the other side? Let me get a few more people. Not working for public speaking, but perfect when competing to dance. Yes, Ivan, that's great. That's amazing. So if you want to see, that should be your ultimate goal when you rehearse, to get there. Now, it might not be possible the first time, the second time, but if you do a talk several times, you get confident in it, you can focus on it, you can remember it. And the more you do it, the better you're going to get. And Nicole, right? Yes, playing music. So the objective is to really try to get that flow state over to public speaking, because that's when you're your best. That's when you shut your inner critic down. That's when you focus on your audience. Time flies by and you just get these random ideas. And when I do it, I will sometimes see myself from outside. Oh, where did that idea come from, Asker? Oh, that's a pretty good idea you had there, right? Saul is Ryan. Try to imagine my talks as a dance. It helps. Great. Yeah. If you can dance it in, well, great. Yeah. So otherwise, to all of you, yeah, maybe we were doing a little bit of research on the flow state. There's a guy called Csikszentmihalyi, Hungarian. He was the one that actually discovered this. And there's true science behind it. But ultimately, you got to get in. That's the objective, to get into a flow state where you really, truly enjoy it. And some of you mentioned areas of your life. So see if you can get it in there. Now, another way where you can really rehearse your talk is to visualize it. The great thing about visualizing your talk is our mind can visualize what we want to visualize. So visualize all the things you want to be doing, how you want to be moving on stage, how you want to sound, because that gives you a lot more training opportunities rather than just, oh, that one time on stage. Because I don't know how often you speak, but let's say you speak once a month. Well, how are you going to get those loads of hours to get that incredible skill of public speaking? But if you take the time to visualize, and as I said, when you visualize, you can visualize all the things they want to be doing. Now, another thing that I see a lot of people making mistakes when they talk about visualization is they say, just visualize everything going well, the audience clapping, cheering you on, and yeah, you're the best, all this sort of things. Well, if you're just starting out, it's probably not going to happen that you're going to be like, you are the bomb, you are amazing. And then you come out there and you did your talk. Oh, okay, I just lied to myself again, right? So another thing is visualize the things that you have control over. You have complete control over how you want to say your words, how you want to move on stage, what you want to be doing. And I like to visualize actually, if things go wrong, the things I don't have control over, how will I handle that? How will I handle if an audience member raises their hand and says, Oscar, you know what, that is completely BS. It's totally wrong. Research shows something else. I've never experienced that. Okay, that's a tough one, right? How am I going to handle that? How am I going to handle if today I'm not using slides, but if they're not working, how will I handle that? Those sort of things are not in my control. But if I have visualized what I want to do, how I'll handle it, there's a good chance I will react that way. Plus, I won't become as nervous because my brain has said, okay, all the options for things that can go wrong, you have a plan for it. So if you have a plan for everything that you are afraid of, you'll feel more relaxed, I believe, right? So in terms of visualization, it's not just visualizing everything is amazing and wonderful. Visualize how you handle situations that potentially could go wrong. Don't visualize yourself stumbling over the words, because you don't want to be doing that, because then you're just training to do that. But there will be certain things that you will never be in control of, and then visualize how you will handle that. So Mulalo is writing here, great, you're writing comments. How do you come back from that when part of the audience challenge your stated facts? Hope it's okay to ask. Great, yeah, great, awesome. It's great you're participating and asking questions. So what I would do if somebody challenged me and says, you know what, this is not right, I would first of all acknowledge them. A lot of the reasons why people attack you is because they probably wanted to be on stage. So I would nurture the little ego and say, this is a great question. And then just say, you know what, my personal experience, the things I've read, the things I've studied indicate something different. Now, that doesn't mean I'm right, because I know you have your experiences, you've done your studies. I'm just saying from my point of view, and this is what I'm here to share today with you. And I'd love to have a talk with you afterwards about it, because it's great to have different opinions. If this opinion resonates with any of you here in the audience, great, go study that, go research that. I'm not saying I'm here to tell the truth. And I mean this also for you today, be critical of what I say. Listen to it. Does it make sense? Do it. If you say, I don't know, really, maybe I don't have the truth to everything, but I can only share my truth. I can only share my experiences. So humbling myself a little bit and saying, okay, I might be wrong, but I'm just sharing what I believe. I think this is how I go about it. And usually what happens is if you come early, you'll also spot the people who tend to be the heckler. And just a little tip for you here, if it's a physical venue, they will often be sitting in the front row in the corner. Now, this is just what I've observed, and I don't know, but my own little theory is that if you sit in the front row, it's much easier to come with a negative comment than if you sit in the back, right? You can throw a little sarcastic comment or whatever it is. Plus, when you're sitting up in the front, you can turn your back and be like, oh, do I have the audience with me? Because their intention is probably to win over the audience, raise their status. I don't know if that makes sense. So be careful with the corners, guys, from now on. Pay special attention to them and give them lots of love. Maybe you can use them in an example of a story. Let's say it was Adam that I was, maybe Adam's a little skeptical about this guy called Oscar here. He's coming here sharing a few ideas. Like, Adam, if Adam had succeeded and had done a wonderful project and he had to present it, what should Adam do? Blah, blah, blah. I would, give him a little bit of attention, and little Adam would be sitting there. Yeah, well, they're all looking at me. Great, So sometimes you can turn your biggest enemy into your biggest fan. I've tried that a number of times. But it's also good to have a fallback strategy in case they come, and you just got one right now. Did that make sense? Did that give you value? Yeah, great. Tom's nodding. Hussein just smiling. Awesome. Wonderful. That's Toastmaster tactics. Really? I didn't know. But if it works, doesn't matter where it's coming from. Great, great, Rasan, you're writing in here. And Yvonne's writing there. All right, so I promise you, we're gonna do a few exercises because frankly, hearing me for 3 hours, you know, even though I love to hear myself, I also think you wanna hear yourself and network and talk to each other. So I wanna give a little introduction to the exercise here that you'll be doing in pairs. It is called a transformational meeting with a mentor. So what this is about, this, and here's the exercise, which you'll be getting in a little bit. So the exercise, the purpose is you work in pairs and you'll be going through 1, 2, 3 first. I'll give you 10 minutes to do that. One person will be interviewing the other. So you can say person A, and you can say person A, which one, the weirdest person will be the interviewer. And you decide who is the weirdest one, right? That's not for me to make that decision. So person A is the weirdest one, will interview B about a transformational meeting. So your task, if you're interviewing, is to discover this meeting and figure out who were they before this meeting, right? We all have struggles in our lives. We all have times where we face challenges and there was something that, wasn't optimal inside ourselves. And then you need to figure out what happened during the meeting. Okay, what was the journey? What actions did this person take? And then finally, who are you because of this meeting? Because you met this amazing person, this mentor, you got transformed. Maybe you got more confident. Maybe you got more relaxed. Maybe you learned how to be more grateful, you know, different things. So this is the first part as an interviewer. And many of you are probably thinking, I don't have anything. I don't have a transformational meeting. We all have transformational meetings. So it could be with a person. It doesn't have to be, oh, I hired this mentor that I was going to sit with and talk to for 2 hours every other week. It could be a book. It could be your child. It could be a teacher. It could be your mother. Different people have impacted us differently. So it doesn't have to be in this formal mentor setting. And then there's the B, which is B tells A why they're great. So this is all about tuning in with the other person. Again, when I meet my audience, when I meet you, I try to take you in. I try to see your greatness. I know you have something that you're amazing at. And I try to do that. For instance, the other day I was at the medical school speaking, and then I thought to myself, okay, because I do this question as well, I thought, why do I respect them? And then I thought, oh, I respect them because, you know, they're trying to help people and make the world a better place. And then I thought, after a little bit, ask her, this is BS. You know, that's not true. That's not why you respect the professors up here at the medical university in Copenhagen. I thought, well, the real reason probably is because they work their butt off. They're in the top of their game. They're working really hard. They're making a lot of sacrifices. So I thought, okay, it's more about the inner personal thing that I actually admire about them and respect. So when I meet people then, and I've done that work, they will hopefully feel it. I feel different inside because I meet them energetically different rather than it's easy when you get on stage, especially if it's a big stage with the lighting on and okay, a lot of people looking at you, you can have this kind of rock star feeling that you're better, you know more. But this is not how we want to feel. We want to meet our audience as equals, not below them or above them, but as equals. Now, it's great that you probably will know more than your audience about your field, but that doesn't mean you're trying to put yourself above them, but they're great in other areas of life. So figure out that and share it. And then there's a follow-up. Share your findings from the exercise. How did it feel to be mirrored, and so forth. So just have a quick glance at it right now. And then Adam will then send you out in pairs. So I'll give you 30 seconds, and then I'll take questions to, because I don't want to send you out and then be like, oh, I don't really know what I should do. If it's much better, then you just ask me the questions now if you're in doubt. You don't have to have found the meeting. That's why the other person's there to help you. But ask the questions. Don't rely on, oh, I hope my partner knows what this exercise is about. Yeah. So you can take either a screen dump of this, I know, or I think Adam has also put it up in the group somewhere. Is that true, Adam?
It is Asker, yeah. It's actually, if everyone logs into either Propulsion Pro or Next Gen Planners, you'll find the exercises in the activity feed in the speaker and influencer zone. So I've posted it there as well.
Okay, so Keith here is writing, can you run through the high level again? Not 100% clear on this. Great, Keith. Awesome that you write this. Wonderful. So by high level, is it more question 1, 2, or 3, or all of them?
Yeah, sorry, Asker. I'm just not clear in terms of what we need to do. So could you just...
Yeah, great. So the idea is you're two people. One person is the A, and in the first part, which was called 1, you, if you're person A, you interview the other one. So let's say it's Nicola. So I could ask her a question. Okay, share with me a time where you had a struggle, something that you struggled with in life. For instance, on Tuesday, we had a session 1. She struggled with her manager, had said something really nasty to her, and then she didn't feel really good. And what she then had in her life at that time, she was then on maternity leave. She had a year on maternity leave, as much as possible away from that job. And then during that period, she connected more with her gut feeling, with more her instincts and gratitude. And she said that was because of her kids. You know, she found that more personal thing. So in that case, her mentor was the child. You know, it made her different. And when she came back, okay, I got to listen more to my own feelings. Does that make sense a little bit?
Yeah, that does. That makes sense.
Yeah. Let me know. Give me a yes in there or a thumb up to the camera if it makes sense. If it doesn't, give me a thumb down. It's totally okay if I didn't explain it.
I think so. Basically, we've got to figure out what the transformational meeting is without directly asking.
Yeah, that is. And then,
tell me about a transformational meeting that you had.
Yeah, and then you praise the other one, but with a justification, because I could say, Ian, that was a great talk. You really nailed it. Sure, that's nice to hear. But if I said, you know what, it was a great talk because you actually managed to have really good eye contact and you kept calm all the way through the talk. That makes you feel better, doesn't it? With the justification.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Asker's not just saying some stuff to make me feel good, right? So this is the intention. And you can then use that later in your talks. Asker, mirroring as in body language. No, mirroring in terms of when you hear the story. Oh, I think that was really brave of you. I admire you for the bravery that you managed to stand up and share that to this person. Let's say you had a fight or whatever it is. So you say with words why you respect them, acknowledge them, and see their greatness, if that makes sense. For instance, when I started to talk here today, I mirrored you. I tried at least to do that. I said, you have come here, you're choosing to spend 3 hours. It shows me you're the kind of person that want to get better and learn and grow. It doesn't show me everything about you, but it shows something about you. So hopefully you felt, hey, Asker is trying to understand me. He's trying to get me. You know, he's not just meeting me here. Let me just throw a bunch of stuff at you and show how good I am. And then hopefully you'll like it. I tried to really put myself in your shoes. Yeah. Okay, with that said, Adam, will you please put them out in groups of 2? And you get 20 minutes, so it's 21 past, so 10 minutes for each.
I don't know.
Did you have a hand, Kate? That I didn't see it, sorry. Welcome back.
We are back.
You are back. Amazing. You haven't left. That's great. And Thomas is smiling as always. And Lala, you got there with a smile too. Hey, Mark. Let's see if a few more people will come back. There we go. People are back. Great. Wonderful. Great. I hope you still people coming in. I hope you had a good time in the exercise, that you got some value out of it. I would love to hear a few comments from you. You can, just raise your hand and then I'll pick a few of you to hear some of the reflection. Was it useful? Did it give you something? Yeah, so I'd love to hear that. Just kind of catch up together as a group. So yeah, Graham, you got a hand up. Let me hear what you think about this exercise.
That was really interesting. I wasn't 110% clear of what I was doing going forward, but I had a good idea. It found its own result. I was with Keith Boyes, and we both spoke about work kind of issues we've had in the past. And it was strange because they were very, very similar in many, many respects. But I was going on Keith's story, and my heart was going with him and what was happening. So I felt as kind of following that natural track quite easily. Yeah, I thought it was really interesting and not what I expected.
Great. And you connected because of your similarity, like you said.
Yes, and a lot of similarities, different stories, but a lot of similarities. And you can understand the road that they've traveled on.
Yeah.
And the decisions they've made since of an outcome of that. And
Great.
both of us have made quite important decisions. And a big part of that was what we've been through.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, really good.
Thank you for sharing that, Graham. That's great. I would love to hear from one or two more. Yeah, Ian. I'll take you afterwards, Ivan.
Yeah, so I was with Brian, and I think it's that thing, you do find that sort of connection. Ours is similar, so we're kind of like different journeys. So I've been doing it like 10, 12 years. Brian sort of changed his career to go and do it, and he's starting out with like the technical thing, but he's sort of going, oh, well, I've been there. You know, I kind of know what it's like at the start, and that side of it. And it's also, you know, it's also nice when they're sort of reflecting back to you, sort of bigging you up a bit. So you big them up, and you're like, oh yeah, well, I mean, fair dues, you change like career, and then equally when they do it back to you, you know, the stuff that you've done, and you find that sort of what you've got in common. That's what you seem to focus on. It seems that's sort of, you find that connection, don't you?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, all the stories are almost told, but we still love to hear a new story, and maybe the conclusion is the same. And did you feel you connected well then with Brian, that you know him better?
Yeah, we just started having a kind of conversation that was just a bit off script.
Well, I mean, that's amazing. In 20 minutes, you can really connect closely. That's great. I mean, I often have this experience when I do this exercise that people say, hey, in these 20 minutes, I've got to know this person way better than a colleague I've worked with for 10 years, right? Because we do this. So yeah, thank you very much, Ian. Yvonne, you also had your hand up.
Yeah, I did. Mark has just shared with me, so thankful that the universe has placed us in the same room together, and I could say the same. Because once again, I'm just reminded of what inspires you and what motivates you is what transforms you. And that was evident in the stories we shared with each other. And it was just, wow. You know, it's touching to connect on this level. And it's a few levels deeper than what one would usually have the opportunity to do when you just have a meetup. We're actually having real conversations, and this process, for lack of a better expression, of what you've given us allows us to really go where we need to go and really get to know each other and connect. So yeah, that's what came up for me.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Great to hear that you connected on a deep level with the one you worked with. Great. Kate, I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for raising your hand.
No worries. I just kind of wanted to come at it from a different viewpoint, if I may. I was in a room with Nicola, and whilst I echo all the comments made about kind of a deeper understanding and the process that's been followed, what was interesting is that as a BDM, I found myself wanting to ask Nicola more and more and more and more and more. So actually, I think it was the technique that I took away from transformation and mirroring language and that conversation, because actually by mirroring the transformation that she's gone through and asking the right questions, all of a sudden it was no longer a conversation or an attempt to data gather, because quite frankly, that's what we went in to do. it was then about her story. So I then echoed the comments that have already been made. But for me, it was the technique, and the technique then actually drove wanting to engage and wanting to actually find out more and more and more.
Great. Thank you for sharing that, Kate. And this is why we're doing this, because you can use this technique on stage as well. Now you did it just one-on-one because I wanted you to experience that more closely, one-to-one. And maybe it's also a little bit scary for some people to just open up in front of, let's say, 20 other people. Maybe it's easier one-to-one. But if you do this on stage, I mean, you're going to have a whole different impact on the audience. And like Kate says, I just wanted to ask more and more questions. Think about it, having an audience that's sitting there craving, let me hear what's coming next. What's next? What's next? Oh, I want to ask a question. And think, oh, maybe I get a chance to ask Nicola after the talk about something if it hadn't been up. These sort of things is going to make them queue up afterwards, going to buy your book, or maybe you get a chance to talk to them. So this is really great stuff you're sharing. Malala, you also have your hand up. I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, for me, it's more like peer pressure. I just had people saying, I was with this person, I was with this person. It's like, we are the last ones left. So from my side, I was with Tom, who's in Pietermaritzburg, and I'm here in Thohoyandou in Limpopo. So it was nice that we were connected, because with us, I shared my story first. And then as he was giving me feedback, it was just exactly what I went through, like the transformation that I had when I met with my mentor last Friday. And when he was giving me feedback, he was just describing exactly that. And when he shared his story, it was something that I could also learn from, because for me, we've been an authorized FSP for like a year, and he's been in that business for quite some time. So the challenge, or what he faced and got transformation from when he met with his mentors, it's something that I know that I'm going to face in the near future. But now I get to tackle that now. And after the session, when it was halfway, we were done. So we just started another conversation, and I was able to pick his brain in some of the things that they're implementing, and also the compliance side of things in our industry. So I think it was a good meetup session, and also an opportunity to learn from people that have already been in this industry. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Malala. That's great. And you touched on a very important thing. That is, how do we learn? And the best way to learn is actually through stories. And now that you heard some of Tom's story, maybe that will work 100 times better than if Tom had just shared, hey, here are 10 ways you can succeed in your area, do this, this, and this. But now what I feel is you got touched emotionally, maybe you got inspired, and maybe that story was like, hey, I can do this too. Yeah, Tom's a little bit further, but let me follow in his step. So it's a great way really to connect and learn. Awesome, guys. It's wonderful. It's great you participate. Ask, your mic volume seems to have dropped. Can you hear me? Anybody have a problem with the mic? Please give me a thumb up if it's okay. It's okay. So
we can hear you, Asker. It's just dropped a little bit. It's not as loud as it was earlier on. So
that's strange. I'm done. Yeah. Anything.
No big deal.
All right. Tune it up then if it's possible. But great. I'll just speak up a little bit. So great, guys. I would love to, before we have a little break, here, turn that talk you had into a story that you can then share for us. And what I would love you to share, and I'll give you the paper, is share the story you have. In fact, just listen to me, because it's not, you don't even need to read it. So what you share is your story, the first part of the exercise, which is, who were you before the meeting? You were a certain person before you had this transformational meeting. And then share the journey along. What happened? Who did you meet? Which pictures did you see? What voices was it that you heard? And who did you become as a result of that? So share that as a story. Try to bring us into the scene with pictures, with emotions, the feelings. So basically what you have to do is place yourself there and share what you see, what you felt, what you heard. And then you will transport us there. And it's like you're giving us that experience. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. So I'd love to hear if anybody would love to do that, or just do it even if they don't love it, because this is training, this is practice. And the intention here is, of course, to lift you up, make you better. not to bring you down. So once you have taken the stage here, you feel more confident, more excited about taking the word and speak up one more time. So we are all here to help you succeed. And I'm not going to give you 10 things you should improve upon. I really want to help you and lift you up. This is the most important thing. And we'll all do that. So with that said, who would love to share just a 1 or 2 minute story? I know it's a little bit off the cuff, but I know you can do it. I know you can do it. You follow your gut feeling. You follow your instinct. You have it inside you. You follow that intuition. And if you say a little or a little oh, it's okay. No worries. You're going to be even more likable because there's no perfect speech. Yvonne, you have your hand up. Is that an old hand maybe? So you can raise your hand. I'll pick a few people. It's free training. The only thing that can happen is you're going to get better. Ian, you have your hand up, and Malalo. So we have already 2 people who want to join in here. So let's start with you, Ian. Let's give Ian a big hand, a virtual hand as well. This is brave. You know, I applaud.
Should all start, all start clapping on the chat.
Yeah, I'll unmute it, but I applaud everyone that takes the stage, because these are the people we should feel inspired by, the people that step up. And if you aren't ready, that's also cool. No worries. We are where we are. We're all different places in our lives, but I really applaud you. This is awesome, Ian. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just think it's that thing of saying yes to things. So I thought, well, that's why I'll do it. So yeah, the story that I would share would be when I got made redundant from my last role before I set up my business. So I'd sort of always been thinking about wanting to launch my own business and had kind of my idea, but I kept kind of putting it off. I actually got fired before that, and then thought I wasn't quite ready. So I'd do it, joined this place for about 6-7 months, and then probably about the week that I was thinking, I could probably do this for like another year or 2. It's not too bad. I actually got called in that week and got made redundant, which was kind of the kickstart that I needed in terms of actually launching my own business and, you know, not just talk about it, actually doing it. So it was a big change to sort of become that person that is going to run their own business from scratch, starting from zero. And then just like the people that I've met along the way. So I know Keith, who is in a similar boat to me, set up a similar sort of time. We're in a group with some other advisors who are all in a similar boat, similar kind of age, and we're supporting each other and helping each other kind of through that journey as well. So it's those kind of connections that you make along the way to sort of help you with the ups and downs of everything that you go through when you're sort of launching a business, especially when you go through like a global pandemic at the same time.
This is great, Ian. It's so brave. You shared twice that you were made redundant. I mean, I've also tried to be unemployed. I had a period of 9 months. This was, for me, yeah, it wasn't the easiest thing to say to people. Oh, you know, I'm looking for a job. You know, this is brave. And you can use this story. For instance, if you have clients, you can then use that and say, I know sometimes we can be afraid or we can be nervous. You know, I've gone through periods of my life made redundant, you know, and then I didn't know how to make ends meet, and I got scared a little bit, you know. See if you can, you know, I'm just making stuff up, but if you meet people and then you can connect with them through that story, if they're also struggling, and say, maybe sometimes you got to follow that feeling that is what you truly want, because you had that call that you wanted to have your own thing, right? And maybe you had it even before you were made redundant. Yeah, definitely. The pure fear kicked in about 4 or 5 days after it. I vividly remember it just kicking in going, oh, shit, what have I done? Yeah. But this is so great. And we all have this. You will connect so much with your audience if you share this great story you have there. This is really wonderful. Great. Thank you, Ian. Give Ian a big hand. It's wonderful. And we had you, Malalo. Let's give her a big hand as well. There you go. The stage is yours.
Good afternoon. I'm Malalo Nematayeni. I am a certified financial planner by profession, and I'm based in Thohoyandou in Limpopo province. And now I'm going to share my story about a transformational meeting that I had with my mentor. So this happened last week. It was Friday, the 18th of February in 2020, and 2:30 in the afternoon. And in our meeting, we were discussing about how I can better position myself in my business. So my mentor shared about the 5 M's. He says it's management, it's money, it's market, it's momentum. And then the other one was the model of the business that I'm using. I've been FSP for the past year, and it's still early days. And our main vision is to take financial education to the communities. So my main concern was around the market. So when I was there before the meeting, I was just worried. I wasn't sure if I'm approaching the market in the correct way. And in that meeting, he shared about the different ways that I can look at the market, and how he emphasized on how I need to look at it on a more global way and not just local. Not think about focusing on the people that are here in Limpopo or in Thohoyandou, but think South Africa as a whole, and also look at the other neighboring countries as well. And from that meeting, I gained confidence. And after that, I also managed to make contact with the different stakeholders that I can provide this financial literacy services to. I now have a engagement with the students in our University of Venda that is happening next week. And that was simply because of that push that I got in that meeting. So for me, it was total transformation, and it's something that I'm applying on my day-to-day business. And we are going to teach financial literacy to 1 million people. Thank you.
You still muted, Oscar?
Somebody unmuted me. Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Malala. That was a great talk about mentors. At least that's what I heard, and I take with me that mentors are there not just to give us information. Obviously, your mentor gave you some great information, but it ultimately also sparked your confidence. And I can hear that in your voice. You say, we are going to teach this. And I don't know if you said millions, maybe you said that. So this is just, you had that conviction in your voice. So this is a great story about, you know, maybe having a mentor, maybe following a system. And I can, you know, I believe in you because you believe in yourself. And this creates a whole new dynamic in the talk. If it's, well, yeah, we'll make it. No, you had that feeling. So this was a really powerful thing you had. Thank you, Mulalo.
Thank you.
There were a couple more people who had the hand up. Is that right? We can take one more and then we do a little break. The nerves on my side, Mulalo. Oh, that's okay. You're beautiful. No worries. You did fine. You know, no worries. Yvonne, you have the hand up. That is great. Love to hear from you, Yvonne.
Yes, right. So where do I start? 6 years ago, I lost my mom, and it just stumbled me into the darkest of dark places. And so much so, I couldn't cry. I couldn't express what was going on for me. My poor family didn't know what was going on. And just before she passed, someone sent me a clip of a young artist. And the music that this young person sang just touched both her and I. And I remember how her face just lit up. And it stayed with me for some time after that, and I could never find who the artist was until 2 years later. And even at that point, I was still in a very, very dark place, and I tumbled into nearly a state of depression. And my daughter sent me a clip of the same person, and it was the song, and it was the artist, and it just ignited something significant in my life, because and as this young person says, we are what we love. And I love music, and I also love dancing and movement and expression through music. So even though from an emotional point, I wasn't able to articulate and let go at the time, that made me vulnerable enough to do so. And for probably a month and a half, I cried. I didn't stop. So what that did is it released me from being so serious and not seeing any joy or happiness in my life, which is not who I am. And it allowed me to invite happiness and joy back into my life, so that I could start dancing again, competing again, so that I could start tapping into what's important for me. And yeah, and just, you know, still today, I follow this young man. He's now 27 years old. And he's the greatest singer in the world as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, and it's not just about his ability to sing, it is actually who he is and what he brings to the world. And so much of that resonates with me and who I am as a person. And it just reconnected me in a very transformative way in everything that I do. So I'm relatively carefree. And as I sit here today, Razan will know I'm sitting in Mauritius, working from Mauritius and having the greatest time. So it shows you anything is possible. Yeah, and I just love life. And that's my story.
Thank you, Yvonne. That's a beautiful story. Very nice. And I definitely take something with me. I got touched. I got, yeah, I felt something. And I also did with you, Ian and Malalo. So this is the ultimate test. Does people feel something? And I felt something because you dared to open up, you dared to share these things. And yeah, this is a great story about overcoming something, a hardship, and coming back to your roots. So this was, yeah, truly beautiful. You can use this also in your talks. Maybe you change it slightly to fit the financial world or whatever it is. But you connect, we connect because we've heard these 3 stories now. So much more than through here 10 great ways to invest your money or whatever. But can you put on a personal touch? They will connect with you and they will do much more business with you, and you will be a whole different speaker. You don't just share content, you change people, you become that mentor, and this is beautiful. So really a big applaud for all of you that shared a story, and to all of you listening. I think we should take a little break because you've been working hard, you've been hearing these incredible stories just now and participating well. So I want to give you a 10-minute break, you know, loosen up a little bit, do the thing you need to do. So we'll meet here 5 past, and then we'll work on how to discover what your audience really needs so you can then give them that. So I'll see you back here 5 minutes past. I'm not going to say the hour because we're all in different places, but 5 minutes past. See you guys in 10 minutes. Hey, Nicola, good to have you back. Hey. All right. Hey, Lala. Hey, Graham. Good to see you guys back. Hopefully you got a little bit of stretch. And hey, Yvonne. A little bit energized. So yeah, wonderful that you've put in a lot of work. Really, you've been working well for the last 2 hours. So that is great. We have still yet 1 more hour. I'll try to give you a lot of stuff that you can use so you can create these incredible talks that aren't just giving content, but really making people change behavior, start believing in themselves, and so you can stand out. So let's just see if everybody is coming in. Are you here? Also, there are a few people without the camera. Keith, Tom, Yvonne, you're here. Great. Yeah, awesome. Wonderful. I mean, it's okay if you prefer having the camera off. It's just to make sure you are here. Wonderful. Tom and Mark, are you also here? Great, Mark. Wonderful. And you are hopefully also back, Tom. All right, I will start now. So this second part here is all about discovering what your audience needs, because a lot of people start in the wrong place. They start thinking, what should I say? Or maybe they start looking at, what do I know? And then give that to the audience. And one of the big mistakes a lot of people make, and I often also fall into this trap myself, but now I have the tools hopefully to avoid it, is once we will learn something, once we know that, we tend to think, oh, it will be easy for other people to learn, or how was this ever a problem? But if we go back in time, we're like, yeah, okay, that was actually pretty hard back in the days. Now my daughter is learning how to read and write. That's a struggle. And now we're thinking, how could that ever be difficult? So we need to change our role and not see ourselves as a speaker necessarily, but more as a mentor. And what is the role of the mentor? We talked a little bit about it in the exercise, but the mentor is really to lift them up, to help them from the right place. and not to use our own little ego. So for instance, just let me give you a little example here. Before I prepared these 3 hours, a few years ago, I would probably have given you less time for the exercise because my own little ego would say, hey, Asker, you got to prove them. You got to show them how good you are. And then giving myself a little bit more time. Now I went back and thought, okay, how can I help them the most? Is that by me talking another 5-10 minutes? Or is that by actually giving them time for an exercise where they do have some time at least to kind of get through the main things? And I thought, it's probably the exercise, giving them a little bit more time that's going to help them even more. I thought, okay, leave your ego out and I could give them slightly more time. Maybe I could have given you more time. I don't know what the right amount was, but anyway, it's just to give you an example. You're not on stage or speaking to camera for your own reason. Of course you are to some degree, but the intention should be help them, lift them up, do what's best for them. And if you help people get what they want or what they need, you will also get what you want. But so I used to take the stage for the wrong reasons. And I didn't know that for a few years, why I wanted to get up on that stage. But as I started learning more and more about myself, because public speaking is also personal growth, then I discovered probably why I had it like that. And many of the things we're struggling with comes from our childhood. I remember one day, it was back in 7th grade. I come home from school and I was so proud because I had this B+ in math. And I remember my dad, he cared a lot about science classes, scientific classes and math and these sort of things. Like school was important. You got to do well in school, son, would I always say. And he was having a hard time saying, I love you. In fact, I don't think he's ever said that. But so he had a little bit of a hard time showing me how much he loved me, how much he cared about me. So I was ultimately craving that love, that attention, and getting that, because when you're a kid, the two most important people in your life are your parents. They're basically your ticket to survival, and you want to prove them or get that attention, that love. So I remember I came home from 7th grade with what I consider pretty good grades, and I was like, I'm going to show Dad that I've done well and hopefully get a little pat on the back and, you know, well done, son. I was hoping to get that. I was a little bit anxious still, but I remember I was coming home. I was walking on the street where we live. We lived up in this house up on the little hill, white house. And I walked up on the hill, and then my dad came out because he was a high school teacher. And then he was going over to the school to teach. And then I met him right there on the street. And I remember still holding my grade sheet in my hand. And then I gave it to him, look, Dad. And then he looked at it and he said, what's that? Why isn't that an A, that B+? What's that C doing there? And you even have a few D's. Whoa. My confidence completely was diminished, my self-esteem, and I didn't feel really worthy. And that feeling came to me. I'm going to prove, I'm going to do better. I'm going to try harder. And when I then stepped on stage, it was like a cry for, please clap, please like me, please tell me I'm amazing, please like me. This is a bad place to go on stage if you have some internal stuff going on in yourself. But if you can relax in yourself and be like, hey, I'm actually there to help you. So Malalo, you have a question. We're going to take that in a little bit. So if you have a couple of questions, you can just write and we can, bundle them together. But the other thing you should have is you should lift them up from where they are and take them. That should be your role. Leave your little ego outside. If you got some issues or you got to think, you got to prove them, that's not why you're there. You're there to help them. And I want to read a little passage from a Danish guy called Søren Kierkegaard, a very famous philosopher. So if you're interested in that, I think he describes very well the role of a helper. He's written this piece, which is called The Art of Helping Others. So I'll just read that to you because I think that it really encapsulates very well our role as mentors and as speakers. So here we go. If one is to truly succeed in leading a person to a specific place, one must first and foremost take care to find him where he is and begin there. This is the secret in the entire art of helping. Anyone who cannot do this himself is under a delusion if he thinks he's able to help someone else. In order to truly help someone else, I must first understand more than he, but certainly first and foremost understand what he understands. If I do not do that, then my greater understanding does not help him at all. If I nevertheless want to assert my greater understanding, then it is because I'm in vain. It is because I'm vain or proud. And basically, instead of benefiting him, I really want to be admired by him. But all true helping begins with a humbling. The helper must first humble himself under the person he wants to help, and thereby understand that to help is not to dominate, but to serve. That to help is not to be the most dominating, but the most patient. That to help is a willingness for the time being to put up with being in the wrong and not understanding what the other understands. I hope that made sense. So really our role is just to, meet them where they are and take them from there. So let's say you have a client that's just struggling to get enough money to pay the rent at the end of the month. Maybe we shouldn't start by saying, oh, this is how you make a long-term investment and make millions, right? Meet them where they're at. Maybe they have some personal challenges, struggles, whatever it is, but just basic needs. Meet them there, because I know you know a lot more than the people you work with, but meet them where they are at, and then you lift them up from there. So we got to go down there and carry them. It's kind of like going up to a mountain. It's better to go down and pick them up and then, say, hey, here's a good place to step. Here's a good first step, rather than standing on the top and just like, hey, you got to do that and that and that. If that makes sense. So you follow them along and do that humbling. And that's one of the reasons why I also said we have to, before we go on stage, ask ourselves, why do we admire our audience? There's always something beautiful about them. The people, the person living on the street, there could be something, if we knew his story, of like, whoa, really? You've been through that? Wow. Amazing. You're still here. You're still fighting. You're still, putting in that effort. Maybe it gives another respect and then we meet them more as equals. So I think this is really the role as a mentor. And if they can feel that, you will be a totally different speaker than if you come there and just say, I know all this stuff. Let me show you how to do it. That is a little bit, you're putting yourself above them. So meet them as equals. This is the advice I have for you. So I'll give you this framework I call the speech compass, which is really the foundation for creating your talk. So you don't start off with what should I say? What do I know? But really just asking yourself a lot of questions to go through them before you start developing your talk. I remember back in the days, I would probably, if I had to make a presentation at work, I would probably go out and ask a few colleagues, oh, can you give me your PowerPoint slides from your last few presentations? And then I would probably make a few myself and then bundle them together. And then all of a sudden you have some sort of presentation. Yeah, I'd probably survive that. But I didn't go back and really discover, okay, this is where the audience is at right now. And this is actually what they need. Just trying to brainstorm and put a bunch of stuff together. So I want to give you a framework called here the speech compass. So you have the best possible tools to then gather the information you need and share the stories you need in order to create a change and not just provide information. So every presentation is different and you need to think about your audience. One of the things you need to be thinking about is, who are you presenting to? Maybe it's a large audience. You won't be as such presenting to everybody. For instance, when I did my PhD presentation, my mom, my dad was there, my brother came and a few other friends, but I didn't present to them. I only presented to 3 people, the people in the committee that was gonna either give me my PhD degree or not. Those were the only people. Now, there could be other situations where you might be talking a little bit more to other people. Maybe there's a decision maker where you wanna say, okay, this message should be tailored exactly for him. And then hopefully also the other audience gets it. So the first question is really thinking about, who is your audience that you will be talking to? So how do you then get to know your audience? There are a number of ways you can do it. One of the ways is, of course, you use your experience. Hopefully you have worked with people similar to them before. So you go back in the past and look, okay, what trouble, what challenges they really have. And you think deeply about them. So you use your prior knowledge. Some of you have been in the field for a long time. You can use that. Some of you are newer, but you still hopefully have a little bit of experience. But there are also other ways, if you aren't that experienced, to do it, but use your prior knowledge. Another way to really discover what their needs are is to, if you can, send out a survey. This is a quick little survey. You can use surveymonkey.com. It's for free, and just make a little survey, 3 to 5 minutes. If you send them an email and say, I want to make the best possible talk for you on, let's say, Friday, it would be a big help for me if you would spend 3 to 5 minutes filling out the survey, because then I can tailor it exactly to you. Now, that's going to give you a lot of knowledge about what their challenges are. Plus, it will also give you confidence, because they then share, whoa, this is a problem I have. I would love to have this. For instance, when I went to speak at the medical university here, the people that work as professors within medicine, I thought, well, this thing about public speaking and fear, it's probably not going to be a problem for them. They're top of the game and they know all this stuff. But actually, quite a few people wrote, it would be really nice to know how to handle the fear. And that gave me confidence when I went there to talk. And I could also share, I know a lot of you had mentioned in the survey, it would be great to have a few tools to handle the nerves before an important conference or a talk. So it gives you confidence that you're giving them value, plus they will feel connected to you because, hey, this is not just another canned presentation. So that is a way to do it. Another way to do it is, of course, talk to the organizer, the one that booked you. Maybe that person knows more about the audience than you. That is why, of course, I talked to Adam before this talk and mentioned a few things that I would go through, and we, in the best possible way, could plan this session here for you, obviously in collaboration with all the other sessions. So this one would impact you the most together with all the other ones. So giving the guy a call, writing an email, probably giving a call would be the best, I think. Just having a chat with him to really get to know your audience. Another thing I would like to do, if it's possible, is to reach out to key audience members. Let's say I'm going out to speak to 3 or 4 departments. It would be a good idea to call each of the department managers to hear what are they struggling with in your department. Would this be relevant for them to hear about this? So then I get to talk to them and create some chemistry with them, but also know what is the challenge in that department. Okay, what's the other one? And if you then give it to them, it's really hard afterwards to come back and say, we didn't like your talk. We were dissatisfied with the talk, because you basically said, this is what we want. And then you give it to them. Okay, that could be things, your delivery or whatever, but basically the content is there. And that's, of course, a huge part of it. So they also feel like they're a little bit part of your talk. In that way, you involve more people. So it's not just a standalone thing. Another way you can do it is, of course, you can interview other people in your audience, regular audience members, and say, hey, would it be possible for me to just reach out to 2 or 3 people in this audience to hear what's going on? So yeah, do a little interview. That could be a great way to do it. Another way also to get to know your audience, maybe not to know more about them, but just to say hi to them, is make a video. Send them a video on email, just a 30-second video where you say, hi, I'm excited to come and I want to share these and these things. Then they feel they already know you a little bit because they've seen you, a minute or 30 seconds on video. And we know, like, people we have met more times, we tend to know them better. So next time, when in our next session, when we meet, and hopefully you will come again, you will feel, hey, we know Ask a little bit. I feel like I know Tom, Nicola, Graham, Ian, Risan, Mulalo, and so forth. It's going to be a different experience for me. I'm going to feel more relaxed because I know you a little bit. So this is a way to do it for you, for the audience, by sending them an email and do that. So these are ways where you can get to know them. But now let's dive into the speech compass, which is just basically a bunch of questions, which is in the middle. The compass, what you should be looking for is, let me just go through it, Adam, and then we can show it afterwards. I'll just give like the main thing, and then I'll show you this piece that you'll be working on in pairs, which is in the middle. You have change. You're not there to provide information. You're there to make a change. That's your objective. If you just provided information, I think you didn't succeed. But if that information obviously created a change, great. So in the middle, you have change. Stop just providing information. Make a change. This is incredibly important. So that you have in the middle of your compass. And then we need to figure out which direction should we go, north, south, east, west, or whatever way should we go there. So what I have here in the, what I call north, one of the four is who is your audience, like the basic information, stuff like what's the audience age, gender, interest, background, how much do they know about your topic? Like all this basic stuff. So you probably want to, you know, it's good to sit down and think, how much do they know about this topic? If it's a high school kid, you're probably going to start another place than if someone has been in your industry for 20 years, knows the terminology and all these sort of things. So getting that in, and actually also figuring out who is your audience. Are there particular people you want to tailor it more to? Then write that down. So this is the basic stuff. And this is where most people probably stop after that. But then you want to come to the other thing, which I call East, the second part, which is who is your audience emotionally? A lot of people don't think about this. Are they stressed out? Are they excited? Is it a young group of entrepreneurs that just started their own company, that's just full of energy, going 100 miles per hour? We're going to crush it. We're going to make it. We're going to take down the world. Or are you going out to speak in a department, let's say that gotten a new financial strategy for the third time that year. And the people in that department are just thinking, oh my God, I don't know what is important in my job. How should what's my key role here? Because third strategy in a year is just totally overwhelmed. Then you meet them in a different place. If you know, well, they're stressed, they're overwhelmed, they're insecure, then you need to create security. Because if they're not feeling secure, how can you ever move them forward, even if you bombarded them with information? So this is who's your audience from an emotional perspective. And then the second question under emotions is why and what do you admire them for? So you meet them in an energetic level similar to them, and you kind of take them in, and they will feel your energy. So, oh, she's there for me. She respects me. She sees my greatness. You don't always have to say it, but just the fact that they can feel it will create a different talk than if you just come in, you know, a little bit cold, or, okay, let me just, you know, show my slides and kind of go through that. And then hopefully you can take something with you and you leave, right? So try to ask yourself that question. That's going to make a big difference. And then finally, what do you want your audience to feel as a result of your talk? Hopefully you leave them with a positive feeling of taking action or believing more in themselves, that it's possible for them. I mean, I've tried to do that throughout these 3 hours, you know, share some stories that hopefully could inspire you. So it's not just, hey, here are 5 or 10 different ways you can handle the fear, because you could easily have found that yourself. You could bought a few books or gone in and read some articles, because the information today is easy to get access of. It's just 2 or 3 clicks. You are on Amazon. You can have books from the best people in the world, but connecting with someone, finding that feeling, that's a lot harder. And if you can do that throughout your talk with the spoken word, you'll be a different speaker. You will create a different change, and you will inspire way more. So it's probably way more important that you hit that emotional button to make them believe in themselves and take action. So this is north and east. And then I have south, which is what is the audience problem? So you have a category called what's the audience problem? And now there are different types of problems the audience has. We all have different levels of problems. Now, the first level of a problem is a problem that the audience can share with you openly, you know, to people maybe they just met and connected with 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm kind of struggling with this, whatever it is. That's easy to get to know. And of course, you probably want to address that and handle that. But then there are also other kinds of problems. There are problems which we just share with people we feel really close with. We don't just tell other people we just met. But your role, of course, when you are the mentor, is to figure out what is the problems that they're not really sharing. What are the real challenges? When I run my webinars and I try to get people into my mentor program that I teach, then I'll have one-on-one conversations. And it's not because people are not nice, but most of the people that I talk to in my one-on-one, they will not tell me the truth right away. When they say, oh, I don't really have time. often it will be something else, like they don't believe in themselves. They don't believe that they could do it. They don't, or maybe they say, oh, I don't have the money. Maybe it's because you're afraid to go ask your husband or wife to pay this amount, you know. And then if we dig deeper, sometimes we find the real reason, and then we can work on it. So what I'm saying is, you need to be the therapist or the psychologist or the person with the knowledge to go that step deeper and not just always take for granted what they say, because your clients are probably like mine. They're not sharing the truth, at least right away. But you know, from years of experience, when somebody's sitting there having a one-on-one talk with you, it's not what it's really about. At least often it's not. And then you can, of course, use different questions, techniques, and so forth to get to know that. But when you're preparing a talk for like a large audience, you also want to spend that time. And that's why you also want to interview people and ask them. And then maybe other people could say, yeah, I think this is a problem for many of the people in the group. So say, look, always try to figure out what's in between, what are they saying in between the lines? It's often not the truth, and you know it. You also know it. So go deeper with that. Then if you then make them open up and share that, that's great. For instance, again, I'll just share with you, again, this university I went to with these people studying medicine. After about an hour and a half, one of the people says to me, Asker, it's pretty different and a little bit weird what you're showing us, what you're teaching us. It's very different than what we usually do. And I was thinking, okay, this is a make it or break it moment. And then I said, well, that's because your talks are boring. Your talks are generally boring. That's why people don't listen to them. You have people going to conferences all over the world. Maybe someone went to Singapore. I said, when you went to Singapore, isn't it true that about half, maybe even 2/3, look at their screen and not up on the stage? She's like, yeah, probably true. Most people, you know, so that's a pity, isn't it? You go all the way from Denmark to Singapore to check your email. Well, if your talk had been maybe a little bit more interesting, fun, they would have listened more, looked up. And that was an example. Everybody in the room knew that their talks were boring, but no one talked about it. And they all smiled like, yeah, that's true. Okay, we have to change. So I opened them up to a problem they knew they had, but they didn't openly talk about it. If that makes sense? Yeah, great. So this is a deeper level you can go, and you can go even deeper than that. And that is the problem they don't know they have. We all have blind spots. We all have things we're challenged with, and we don't know why we do it. Sometimes, you know, I have 3 kids at home, and then I can look back and say, ask, why did you say that? That was stupid, you know, but okay, the pressure got too much, or I don't know what it was. And I'm like, okay, not proud of myself. And maybe I don't know why I reacted in that way, in that moment. So we need help. And that is where your role comes in as the mentor, as the expert, is to figure out and help them see what they can't see themselves. If you can do that, if you can deliver that kind of value and sell the problem and make them realize this is your true problem, it's not this thing. When people often come to me, it's like, hey, I want to learn something about body language, a little bit about eye contact. Sure, I can give you that. But you know what I much rather do? I much rather develop you as a person to a confident person that feels good, that enjoys the stage, that is looking forward to it. Because you know what? Your body language will do all it needs to do if you happen to enjoy being on stage. And then once they realize that, like, okay, that's true. And then sure, I can give you a few tips on how to hold your hands and so forth. But I make them realize that their true problem is not they haven't learned about body language. It's something else. And you do the same in your particular case with your clients. They will probably come to you and say, oh, this is my problem. And you know, no, it's another kind of problem. So you need to make an argument for that. But the question is really, what is the problem they don't know they have? Once you know that, then you can, of course, later build your talk around that. And that's what we're going to be doing in the next session when we meet next time. But this is just, it's okay, Graham. But you need to first answer these questions to know what it is, so you then can later structure your talk around that. So this is all about problems. And then and this is probably the hardest question you're going to get. what problems do they have they don't know they have. If you have the key for that, whoa, that is the road to success as a speaker. Because maybe you've been to talks where you're like, whoa, you leave with a new insight, a new view on things, and everything just opened up, right? Because I thought for many years it was like, oh, you got to learn how to stand and use your body, all these sort of things. I thought, and then I learned really it's all about me. It's all about the stuff inside me. So the second or the last one, which I call West, is called solutions. So now you have figured out what their problems are, then it's the solution time, because that's obviously what you want to give them. But the first part of your talk is to sell the problem. If you can't sell the problem, you're not going to buy the solution. And way too many people spend way too much time on the solution and almost no time on the problem. So spend time on the problem, and then your solution will be 10 times more valuable, right? If you have struggled with something, you have tried that, maybe you've struggled with it for a few years, and then finally you get it. Wow, it is so much more enjoyable rather than just, oh, yeah, got it right away. No problem, right? So different kinds of solutions there are. You could talk about the solutions the audience have tried earlier with and failed. Talk about that. Okay, this is a bad solution for you. You can mention that. And then you share which solutions the audience need. And think about which solutions will the audience then implement in your talk. What do you want them to go home and do? So the problem and the solution, of course, go very well hand in hand. Yeah. And then what you want to measure your talk on is, did they feel something? Were they touched emotionally? Did they see pictures? And ultimately, did they take action? And again, I want to be friendly to you and not put the bar too high. It's hard to make a change for people, like a massive change. So if you just get a few people, let's say 10 or 20% to take some action, that's actually a pretty good result. And you also probably know it from your own life. Maybe you went to hear a talk, and you know, sometimes we need to hear a message multiple times before we take action on it. So, but you might be that person that could then, with your story, ignite that connection and make you be the person that helped them take that next step. So this is called the speech compass. This is the technique. And the idea is now that you are two and two together. You go out and you do the speech compass. One will then be the mentor trying to help the other. You pick a situation, a communication situation. You can either be an imagined one or real. I would encourage you to find a real one. It could be a past scenario where you've been out speaking, or it could be one in the future where you want to speak. You could use the talk you will be giving here. I think it's in May, right? For instance. So find a scenario and then fill out this speech compass. So I'm going to give you 15 minutes. So maybe there will only be time for one, but then if you're open for it, you could then meet up again. Yeah, great, Adam. Please share that. That's great, Adam. Then you could maybe meet up again and then, you know, fill out the rest of the speech compass for the other one if you're open for that solution. But if time is short, focus on the problem. This is the core of your speech compass to also then later give the solution. So please have a look at this, and then I'll take questions so you can go out with a good intention. I want to ask what your... Yeah, go ahead. There was someone maybe.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know if that's me or if I'm talking over somebody.
No, that's okay. Come on, Ian.
Yeah. So with the audience that we're talking about, it's a wide, diverse mix of people. So okay. What you were saying, I think you sort of alluded to, is you're focusing your message for a certain section potentially of that audience. I mean, people can obviously choose which sort of ones they want to jump into. So it may naturally sort of target a certain type of people. But when you've got someone, you know, people starting out, people more established, sort of go for, well, I can't appeal to everybody. This is who I'm actually talking to.
Yeah, great question. That's a wonderful problem you have there. And if, let's say you have a diverse audience, then if you don't want to speak equally to all of them, you should focus on the one with the biggest need, the one that most needs that message. You don't want to take the person that is in the best place. Take the one with the biggest need. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
because the other one will also benefit from it, and you'll get the whole group. And then you had a question here. Olalo, I wanted to ask what your answer was to the question. Why do you want to be a public speaker? And thank you for sharing. Well, for me, it just does something to me. It makes me happy when people change and go out and live their dreams. I mean, I was always too rational, but now I just like follow that gut feeling that makes you happy. It didn't make me happy to look into a screen. So for me, it's just feels great. And hopefully you have some sort of similar feeling when you work, that of course you look in the big picture and can see it makes a difference, but I'm sure you also feel it, hopefully, because for me, that's been the difference, that I feel it. And all right, Yvonne is leaving, but let me hear from you if you need any help. Give me a thumb up if you're okay to start filling out this one. Yeah, Ian is good. How about you? I just see a couple of people. Nicola, you're good. How about you, Tom and Rizan? Yeah, you're good. So Adam, I think we can send them out in the groups, and I'll give them 15 minutes. So that means we're meeting back here. What time will that be? That will be back in 53. All right, 53, we meet back here. So the intention here is that you have filled out your speech compass and really gotten a great idea about where the audience is at emotionally. You know some basic information about them, and you also know what are their problems, and then also what the solution you want to give them, what that is. So the task you have here is first and foremost to sell the problem, because if you can't sell the problem, you're ultimately also not going to sell the solution. So the task here is to share a story which can then make the audience realize that it's a problem they have. They have a problem they don't know they have. And this is probably the hardest task you'll be giving in terms of discovering your audience. That is to figure out, okay, they have this problem, but they haven't realized it. So I want you to share a story where they go, that's true. Okay, I never looked there. That is my challenge. And then when they realize that, they'll be so much more open to hearing the solution. So how you'll present it again is you focus on a problem. It could be a problem, a challenge you had. It could be a challenge a client had. Put it in a story format, preferably with some people. So go through a problem they had and then describe the journey. What happened along that journey? Maybe they met some people, they read a book, or they stumbled across something. Share that journey, and then share who did they become as a result of that journey, and then who they ended up being. So this is really just the story format, having a problem, a journey, and a transformation. And you do that for the audience that you picked in the speech compass, and then they will be open to hear your solution. So this is really the task. Make a short video, 1-2 minutes, that'll be fine. Hey, Kate. Hey, everyone. All right. So you are back, and I see some smiles, so that's great. It's always a little bit different than when it's a physical state. It's a little bit harder to feel. Is it working? Is it not working? What's going on? So I'd love to hear a couple of comments about this exercise. Did it give you some value? I know it's probably too little time, but anyway, a few comments, thoughts on this, doubts as well. Tom, you have raised your hand.
Sorry, I was finding that mute button. Yeah, I think the big challenge that Nicola and I found was trying to actually identify exactly who your audience is going to be. So, and I guess if you can't, I think that the tools here are brilliant. But it's for us, it was, dealing with an imagined audience or a real audience, given, what we're wanting to present in May. is, you know, are we trying to present a solution to the audience, or for the audience to take to their audience, if that makes sense? Which,
yeah, so you're thinking about your own strategic objective.
Yeah.
So that could have been included in this one. Of course, you also want to be thinking, what do you get out of it? So for instance, in this talk, I make clear, what do I want to get out of it? What's my number one objective? My number one objective for this talk is to make Adam happy. We talked about, okay, what does he think the audience needs? So I want to give everything I can to make Adam happy. That's my number one thing. Number two is, of course, to make you happy. Now, hopefully they'll go hand in hand. If you become happy, Adam will become happy. But let's say I went off script and started talking about something me and Adam hadn't talked about. You could potentially be happy. Hey, this is great stuff from Asker. But I was like, well, we didn't really agree on that. Then you were happy, but I'm in trouble because maybe Adam didn't like it. Adam is happy and we are happy. This was great. He's writing, oh, great. So this is my two primary objectives. The other one I've written is completely selfish. That is to have fun. When I go on stage, an objective is also to have fun. And I think you should have that objective too, because if you have fun, your audience is going to have fun. And frankly speaking, I think we only have this one life. So why not have fun? These were my three objectives for me. And maybe you want to have yours as well. But of course, it makes it a little bit harder if you're just dealing with an imagined audience. So that is why you can't go back in the past. But now, if you don't really know who will come in May, it would be a good thing to ask Adam, or maybe hear a little bit, oh, what kind of people are coming? So you get a feel for them. So just, oh, they look like that. Oh, that's your challenge. So yeah, that I would encourage you to do that when you get a little bit closer.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Tom, for sharing that. Any other comments? It would be lovely if you have any comments. I'm happy. If you don't have any, I'm even happier. No, just kidding.
Asker.
Keith.
Hi, Asker. Hi, Asker. Keith here.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll jump in. We only had a chance to do Graham there, but I actually found it really interesting just sort of going through that process. Graham was sort of chatting through his, presentation. We're talking about audience, next gen audience. It's quite diverse, and how you sort of balance your approach to, ultimately he's got quite a sort of targeted area on focus, and it's ultimately business owners. But then he was also starting to think about, well, how do I balance that with also the staff? And his sort of talk was sort of looking at talent, so attracting the right talent to practice. So how you balance that, ultimately it's focused on business owners, but how you weave that in to also be relevant for the staff as well. And we're just talking about there how we had a good conversation about his personal experience when he was in Dubai, and he ended up perhaps not in the right job, and how he could potentially weave that into that to give that good sort of emotional element, which is also potentially relatable to other people, and then weaving that into sort of finding the right talent identification approach, I guess. I'm speaking a bit for Graham here, but that was a sort of summary of what we're chatting about.
Okay, well, that's great. We just have a few minutes, so I'll just wrap up things. I know a couple of people would love to give a comment, but Adam is writing here, it will be an international audience of financial planners. So basically, I'm assuming people similar to you. So think about how can you give them some, whoa, that was a new insight. I've been in the industry 10 years. I never thought about that. That would be great if you can do that, because I know you have some unique gems that the majority don't know that they need. And then here, yeah. So with that said, I just want to say I really enjoyed this session. I'm proud of you because you put in a lot of work. You all participated, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you also got a lot of value out of it. And in the next session, which I hope you'll join, we continue to work on this, where we'll be focusing on how to structure your talk. How should you start? What should be in the middle? Where should you put your personal stories? How do you close it? So you make a killer 10-minute that you can potentially, with this talk, put up on your website, use somewhere else, and have that as like, a video you can send other places. Also, if you want to promote yourself to bigger stages, having these 10 great minutes could be a great thing to market yourself with and really attract clients with. So you could have that on your LinkedIn and your website or whatever place you want to have. But we're working on how to structure it. And then we work on how to make a framework around your expert knowledge. Because one thing is to go out and share a bunch of tips and tricks. Can you put it into a framework? For instance, today, you receive the fear system. For me, that made it incredibly easy for me because I just know, I got these 4 things. I put it into a system. It made it easier for you to remember rather than if I gave you 4 random points, and it will position you more as the expert you are. So it will help you be seen as the expert you are. And you also help your audience remember it, because hopefully you remember better fear, what they each stands for, the letters: feeling, ego, accept, and rehearse, right? So with that said, I don't know, Adam, if you want to say anything, give me a thumb up if it was value for you, for all of you today. Yeah, you enjoyed it. Awesome. Great. Thank you. I know 3 hours is a long time, so I really applaud you for putting in the effort and improving and getting better. So Adam, if you have any final words, please go ahead.
Well, Asker, first of all, say thank you so much. That was really great. Again, as always, it's sort of already we've very quickly come to expect it to be awesome, and you absolutely delivered. So thank you for that. Thank you for everyone for participating. The next sessions with Asker will be on the 14th and 18th of March. So again, it's a first session on the 14th, repeated on the 18th. We do really love you to come to these live. It's just a totally different experience than watching the recording back. And let's be honest, when do we ever have time to watch a 3-hour recording back? So please do, if you can, make time to come to the live sessions. We've got that extra exercise, which will pop out over the weekend, which will get you just doing a little recording on exercise 3, the follow-on exercise from today. And of course, we'll be posting more things on both Propulsion Pro and on Next Gen Planners over the coming week. So please do keep dipping into the platforms and share your thoughts in the community. And we look forward to seeing everybody very soon. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. I just answered you, Tom. A is accept where you are and then move forward from there.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you guys.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Asga.
Thanks. See you in the next session. All right, Adam.
Asker, thank you so much. I'll see you on the platform over the next few days and weeks, and it won't be me doing the hosting on the 14th. I'm at a different thing, so it'll be Dan. So I'll introduce you to Dan, and Dan will look after you. It'll be really cool.
Nice. Anyway,
Awesome.
I enjoyed it so much. It was a real pleasure working with you here today. And
yeah,
it's good.
Good fun. Stay safe. Take care.
Yeah, you too.
Talk to you soon. Bye bye.